Hi, it's JC at Motorcycle Superstore, and I want to show you a set of aluminum rear sets from the company called LighTech. This is going to be their fixed foot peg design. It is available also with the pivoting foot peg if you would prefer that. However, this thing offers a serious amount of adjustability. It's also very lightweight. Now, in terms of the adjustability, not only is it on the unit itself, however, it's available for a standard shift configuration and also a GP shift configuration. If you decide that you want to go one way or the other and down the road you decide you would like to reverse it and go the opposite way, there's actually a kit you can buy specifically. You don't have to purchase the entire thing again. So this thing really has a lot of adaptability. It can grow with you as a rider and your personal preferences. Now, this is made from a billet aluminum, 7075 aluminum. It's a very high quality piece. It's also hard anodized, so you're going to find it in this black colorway. But on top of that, it uses what they call their track system. And if you'll notice, there are these two main grooves, and that's where the foot peg rests. You can move it into the upper or lower to adjust the height. You can also move it forward or aft into 3 positions on each of those. So 6 different adjustments for each foot peg. You can do it obviously on both sides. Also, on top of that, you can move the tip of the shift lever and the brake lever as well. This moves forward or back depending on the size of your foot or your personal preference. Other adjustments, here you can adjust how high the brake pedal moves up and down. So this thing is going to give you a ton of adjustability. It comes with all the hardware you're going to need to install it. It comes in the box, a little kit. You have the shift rod over here if you want to take a look at this one. This is where it connects to your shift linkage. Now, the cool thing about this is that it's available for many late model bikes, sport bikes, and street fighters. We're actually going to install it now on this Aprilia 210. It gives you a little bit of an idea on what that installation process looks like and some of the benefits that we'll see once we get it installed. I also want to mention just how lightweight this thing is. It's a machined aluminum. It's a much higher quality than the cast aluminum that's typically stock on motorcycles. It's nice and lightweight, and they're really impressive in the way that they put all this knurling on the foot pegs. These are aggressive. You're going to see some wear and tear on the soles of your shoes or in your boots because this stuff is going to do a good job of keeping your feet in place. Now that we have the basic rundown, let's take a look at what it looks like here on the motorcycle. We need to yank the stock rear sets off first and foremost, but I wanted to point something out that might look a little screwy to you guys. On this model of Aprilia, on this year, we had to relocate the rear brake master cylinder, so we've already gone ahead and done that. You can see that the master cylinder is attached to the back of the new rear sets. LighTech has a mounting plate in place. It knows that this is going to take place for this particular model. With your bike, it might not be the same, so you wouldn't have to worry about those. However, I just wanted to point that out before you started wondering what all this extra hardware was all about. So let's pull this thing off and get the new one installed. That was it, just those 2 bolts. So really getting this thing bolted up is the easy part. It's all the adjustments that take more fine tuning. Now I want to point out that you should be using some sort of a thread locker. If you're going to use some Loctite, make sure you put those on the mounting bolts in particular. I have not put that thread locker on any of the rest of the bolts on this. I want to make sure that when we go out and ride, we can make those fine-tune adjustments. Once I get that set in place, then we'll start applying the thread locker to those bolts as well. Make sure you do the same. Also, if you are on a 210 or another bike that requires moving your brake master cylinder around, make sure that you do the proper procedures there. Fill up your brakes, make sure the banjo bolts are nice and tight, bleed the system, all that happy jazz. But since we've got this in place, let's go ahead and work on the shifter side because the linkage is something we need to take a look at. So here on the left side of the bike, there's one more thing to consider. It's this shift lever, and essentially you'll notice that this is a separate piece than the foot peg, and in this case, it's all going to be connected into one unit. We're replacing the shift lever with this shift linkage, and the cool thing about this is that this shaft has a reverse thread on it. It allows you to spin it in or out, which essentially raises and lowers the shifter peg itself. What that does is it creates better ergonomics. You can place it exactly where you want it to be. So let's take a look at how that gets on here. We're gonna have to fiddle around with it just a little bit to make sure the ratios are right, but it's pretty straightforward. That does it for our install on the LighTech rear sets. This is probably one of the more difficult bikes to actually do this with because of all the work we had on the right-hand side of the motorcycle. We had to relocate the brake reservoir, the master cylinder, but really most bikes should be even easier than what you saw today. I do want to make another point. This bike has a full system Leo Vinci exhaust on it. If you start mixing and matching parts, aftermarket components, they may have issues. We had a real tight clearance issue down there, which we were able to work around by adjusting the shifter mechanism. However, just be aware that these components are built to work with stock motorcycles, so if you have other stuff on there, you might have to be ready to work around those. Another thing to keep in mind, this is available in the folding peg design. If you want to look at that, we have it available online. Also, this is a standard shift configuration. However, they do make the rear sets with a GP shift, and if you choose one or the other and down the road you decide you'd like to switch it around, there are individual kits you can purchase that will actually do that. You don't have to buy the entire rear sets again, so it's a really nice setup. Leave me your thoughts on this. Let me know what you think about these rear sets and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more product videos.